Hey everyone, it's Cory McCarthy and thank you for tuning in. Given the spotlight cast on ex-vegans at the moment, as well as the anti-vegan sentiments coming out of the carnivore camp, I've decided to do a no bullshit summary of my own life and experiences as a vegan. Just bear in mind that my personal experiences are purely anecdote. You can no more consider my personal anecdote conclusive of something than you can, for example, Bobby Risto's or Tristan Haggard's. Or anyone's anecdote for that matter. I feel that I need to say that because it appears that people genuinely don't understand what anecdote is and how it differs from conclusions drawn from quality, well-controlled scientific research. People seem to give anecdote way too much weight. So let's put it this way. For every sick and or weak ex-vegan someone like Sverrier interviews, I could find you an equally sick and or weak meat eater. Should we use those people's anecdotes as examples for how meat is nutritionally inadequate? Or would you argue that perhaps they're just doing something wrong or they have some underlying condition? And why is that sort of argument considered acceptable for one side but not the other? My point is, anecdote is not conclusive, and animal products are not a foolproof guarantee that you'll meet all of your nutritional needs. Did you know that despite eating animal products, 39% of men and women still possess low normal B12 levels? And approximately 9% fall below deficiency, and over 16% are just deficient. Those figures were extracted from the ongoing Framing of Offspring study with a sample size of 6,507 Americans as of 2015. Thus, the broader US population may have higher rates of B12 deficiency than this study has accounted for. And if you consider that only 0.5% of the total US population are vegans, and if you assume incorrectly that all vegans are B12 deficient, that would still leave 38.5% of the US omnivores with low normal B12 status, and 15.5% and 8.5% that are deficient or below deficient, respectively, going solely by the Framing of Offspring study, not considering the total US population. Ergo, B12 deficiency is clearly not vegan exclusive, and animal products are clearly not a guarantee against nutritional deficiencies. And that's just looking at B12. For instance, more than 25% of people worldwide are deficient in iron. That would equate to approximately 1.93 billion people deficient in iron, calculated based on United Nations World Population Estimate released this month. And that's despite a globally popular meat like beef containing 12% of your RDA of iron per 3-ounce serving. Anyway, let's just move on at this point, specifically about how I feel and have felt as a vegan. I want to leave ethics out of this video and focus strictly on my health and performance without meat and as a vegan. I first gave up meat way back in 2002, and I haven't relapsed once in the past 16, going on 17 years at this point. So not even a bite of meat in any of that period of time. When I used to eat meat, I used to experience the wildest stomach problems and indigestion that was absolutely debilitating. My gastroenterologist at the time had prescribed me a drug called Levsin to combat what he diagnosed as IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. I would notice these issues after any meat-laden meal, and the fattier that the meal was, the worse the pain was afterwards. I also just felt generally sluggish and low energy after a meat-based meal. But when I went off meat in 2002, the gastric issues pretty much just vanished. Though sometimes full-fat dairy would bring them about, such as milk or ice cream, but never as severe as when I ate meat. And never for a prolonged period of time either. I was able to ditch the prescription, and the sluggishness vanished as well. Now, rewind about 4 years from that point. In 1998, I had undergone emergency surgery for gallstones. At the time, my diet was very meat-heavy and very high-fat. I was big on hamburgers and steak back then. According to my doctor, this played a direct role in developing the gallstones to the point where my gallbladder was like a sack of marbles ready to burst. And that, in turn, caused the onset of acute pancreatitis. Without a gallbladder, I definitely found it harder to digest higher fat foods, such as meat and full-fat dairy, and I am sure that may have contributed to the problems I had experienced before quitting meat. But alas, I can only venture a guess because of that little thing called anecdote. You will notice in last week's Vegan Ketogenic Day of Eating video, I take a vegan digestive enzyme supplement to help me handle higher fat dietary approach. Even still, the upset I'd feel from higher fat plant-based foods if I forgot or didn't have my enzymes on hand is nowhere near the same league as what I felt when I ate meat or even dairy. Now let's jump to spring of 2013. I had gone in for a routine physical checkup which included complete blood work. My diet was egg heavy back then, including sometimes over 20 organic free-range chicken eggs per day. You see, I once bought into the whole eggs don't raise cholesterol myth perpetrated by the egg board industry lobby, or however you want to refer to them. I also consumed whey protein post-workout and on occasion grass-fed butter and various cheeses. In fact, I was running a vegetarian cyclic ketogenic diet at the time, so as you can imagine, I was getting a metric fuck ton of dietary cholesterol each day. You see, one large egg contains 187 milligrams of cholesterol, and doctors don't recommend that you exceed 300 milligrams per day. Despite being in my early 30s at the time, I had developed sky-high LDL cholesterol levels. My doctor expressed incredible concern, especially since I was so physically active with both competitive fighting and weight training. He warned me that if my high LDL levels had maintained into my 40s, he would put me on statins. He asked about my diet and told me to reduce or remove the eggs and come back in a few months for a follow-up. Well, that same spring, I went vegan. I kept my macros the same and I even remained ketogenic, but I swapped out all animal products with plant-based alternatives. For example, I swapped out whey protein for a blend of 70% pea and 30% rice protein, which mimics the amino acid profile of whey. And I replaced eggs with extra firm organic tofu. Every other aspect of my life remained unchanged outside of my diet. I continued fighting, lifting, and even supplementing just as I had before going vegan. I just dropped all of the animal products. My follow-up blood work found my LDL levels dropped into the healthy range, and my doctor wanted to know what I had done to improve so quickly. He was very pleased. Now, before people jump in with the ubiquitous, but, you need cholesterol for healthy testosterone levels, the truth is your body will produce cholesterol in your liver, and it can do so using dietary fat and carbohydrates. In fact, research on both men and women shows that diets containing lower than 20% of calories from dietary fat result in sex hormone decline, with women experiencing a nearly 14% drop in estrogen levels and a nearly 19% drop in free testosterone, and men experiencing a 12% drop in total testosterone and a 10% drop in free testosterone. So really the key here is dietary fat, not dietary cholesterol, and vegans can get plenty of dietary fat. It's also worth noting that dietary trans fats are associated with lower total testosterone and free testosterone in healthy young men. That's according to a Spanish study with a sample size of 209, which controlled for factors such as BMI, smoking status, timing of blood samples, alcohol intake, caffeine intake, micronutrient intake, macronutrient intake, and caloric intake. And guess what foods naturally contain trans fats? That's right, meat and dairy products. Examples include beef, lamb, and butter. Whereas trans fats do not naturally occur in plant foods. So it's little wonder that vegans have slightly higher total and free testosterone levels than meat eaters, even after controlling for factors such as age, BMI, smoking status, amount of exercise, time of day, time since last meal, and time between blood tests. And that's with a decent sample size of 696 men, rather evenly divided into meat eater, vegetarian, and vegan categories. But back to my own anecdote. No, I didn't experience any loss in strength, muscle, or performance after making the switch to veganism, nor did my sex drive or sexual performance decline. Rather, I felt more energetic than I had after my switch from omnivore to vegetarian back in 2002, and my sex drive and sexual performance actually improved noticeably and has remained improved to this day, nearly 6 years later. That is not to say I don't go through periods of sluggishness, but that can be explained by factors such as sleep and stress. And these periods are often brief and sporadic in occurrence. I've never met someone who is honestly on point all the time, day in and day out, year after year, like some kind of a fucking robot. You see, my life is the very definition of busy, and I have been called a workhorse before by a close friend. Between professional work, numerous side projects and interests, weight training, family matters, etc., I don't always get as much sleep as I should, despite putting my body through the ringer on the daily. Hell, I don't even really get a true day off unless I'm forced off due to a cold or the flu or something of that ilk. And I experience life stress like anybody else. As many of you know, for the last 7 months actually, I have been dealing with a very serious family health matter. But no, I am not consistently lethargic, weak, injured, disinterested in life or sex, depressed, or any of that. I have genuinely not experienced any of the nasty side effects you constantly hear reported by these ex-vegan testimonials. But then again, I always apply the latest science to my exercise, diet, and even lifestyle to an almost autistic level. I track my workouts, diet, supplementation, how I feel, etc. in log books and Excel spreadsheets, which I constantly refer back to. I don't fall for shit like high carb, low fat, fruitarianism, or fully raw, and don't make any appeals to nature. In other words, just because something is natural doesn't mean that it's inherently good. A concept both vegans and carnivores alike would do well to learn. Yes, I utilize a ketogenic approach from time to time, which could be considered extreme, but I never go straight keto. Instead, I undertake a cyclic approach, which incorporates weekly scheduled carb refeeds. We know from metabolic ward research, which is considered the gold standard of nutritional studies, that the ketogenic diet is inferior to a carbohydrate-rich diet when it comes to long-term fat loss and lean muscle retention. Anyway, let's wrap this up. To reiterate, I've not declined in strength, muscle, or performance as a vegan, not in any way. And I began lifting 7 years after I had stopped eating meat, and I've been lifting for 2 years more at this point as a vegan than I had as a vegetarian. Just for some comparison, here's a recent photo of me with my friend Stan in the center, who I met through this channel. Stan is not vegan, and he's a competitive natural powerlifter who managed a near 1,300-pound total at his meet this past December, earning a medal in his weight class. And no, I don't take steroids either. If you look through the videos on this channel, you'll notice that I am strongly opposed to recreational steroid use, and that includes their use to win a competition. But thanks to all the folks out there who continue to think that I am. Your accusations are both amusing and flattering, and really only serve as a testament to my training and dietary approaches. Anyway, leave your thoughts and comments below, and don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful or interesting. Also subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Press the bell button for notifications, and check back here weekly, as all 3 avenues will help ensure that you don't miss any new content from me. And check out the video description for links to my products and services, as well as my affiliate links such as Amazon and other ways that you can show your support to me and my channel if you genuinely enjoy and get use from what I provide here. And that includes an array of my science-based training and nutrition ebooks, which can help you get results like those seen on my clients pictured here. And if you use coupon code THANKS20 at checkout, you'll get 20% off for the time being. And that deal also applies to my bundle offer. Just check out the video description below for details and links. With that, I want to thank you all for your support. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all again in the next video.